Just swapping a fan on this Worcester, and yeah, I couldn't get the electrodes out. They was stuck in really bad, and sliced my finger open, which is standard for working on Worcesters. What's up guys, happy Sunday. Thanks for tuning in to my latest video, the life of a jobbing plumber. So the last 3 videos was that one job I did with Glenn. It's gone down really well, I think because you're used to seeing me do my basic domestic breakdown stuff, fixing toilets, all that boring stuff, and it was a nice change to see something a bit different. It's nice for me because I learned something, it's nice for you because you see something different. So I'm hoping this year to do a lot more of that. I have got some things lined up. I'm going to go and do a ground heat source pump in Norfolk. I'm going to do a fuel cell with Glenn. So what I'm going to try and do is, if I can find bigger, more interesting jobs, maybe even some commercial stuff where I can go out for the day, help film it so you guys can see it. That's my plan for this year. This video this week, pretty much back to normal. I've got some jobbing jobs from before Christmas, so it was a really busy period before Christmas, and I've got a lot of videos that I've not had time to edit yet or put together. I've even got stuff from the summer. You remember that big job I did with the 2 unvented cylinders? I've still not put the second half of that job out, so there's loads of stuff to do. But yeah, hopefully back to normal this week after 3 kind of videos of the same job, lots of little jobs. As always, video sponsored by Power Tool Mate. If you're in the market for some power tools, check them out. Use discount code PB5 to save yourself some money. And Velocity Pro Gear, they do a massive range of really good tool bags, but they also sell my range of tool bags. Links to both their sites in the description. So start of this week's video, you might remember, I think it was about 4 weeks ago, I did a job with Glenn in a cafe. We were fitting an unvented cylinder and working on some sinks and stuff. And I was explaining the role of a non-return valve on a composite valve in relation to the unvented cylinder I was fitting. And even though I was explaining what a non-return valve does with the expansion of the water as it gets hot, I then cut a service valve or an isolation valve in between the tank and the non-return valve, basically taking the non-return valve out of the equation. Don't know how I missed it in the edit or even how I missed it on the job, but yeah, pretty embarrassing. But it's nice, I think, to own up to your mistakes. A lot of people pointed it out, so I just thought we'd start this week's video by showing you going back and taking that out. Yeah, but I hope you enjoyed this week's video. Thanks for all my new subscribers. I gave a little, I think I asked people, or I mentioned that 28,000 people who watched one of my videos weren't subscribers, and it would really help me out if you did subscribe. So if you're watching this and you don't subscribe, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. I think there's a little bell as well, so you get notifications when I put a new video on. If you can hit that, likes help, comments help, and yeah, I just hope you enjoy what I've done so far and hopefully what I'm going to do this year. Thanks for watching. Right, so pop back to this job because I put that isolation valve on so we could shut that off, leave the rest of the building with cold water on, and it would isolate this unvented cylinder behind Glenn for maintenance. But because the expansion vessel is that side of it, if you turned that off, you're then removing the expansion vessel from the unvented. Yeah. If that then overheated, there's nowhere for the expansion to go. So that isolation valve could only stay if that expansion vessel teed in here. But because it's not teeing in here, it's this side, that's going to be taken out. We're just going to put a socket in. So just a little update for you.
Lovely little hole just for Christmas.
Fancy getting a plumber out on Christmas Eve? You must be made of money, mate.
Can't believe it.
Have you got some equity in the house?
Yeah, there's plenty in there, mate.
Right, it's Christmas Eve. Customer's got no heating. The Nest has stopped talking, but I can't even manually get it to come on. I've tried turning it off and on again. Not even getting that light come on, so something's wrong with this. So this is one I fitted probably, I reckon, about 6 months ago. So all I'm going to do is take the switch wires, which are 2 and 3 out, and link them together with a Wago. So you can see that I've took 2 and 3 out, linked them together in that Wago connector, and then we should get heating come on. So I'm back now. What are we on? January the 14th.
I don't know what you mean by we're on the 14th of January.
So the boiler's been working all over Christmas. He's just been controlling it with this thermostat. So that's good. Nest have sent him out a new Nest thermostat for some reason, and then the heat link, which is what we need. So I'm going to get those swapped over now. So there's that link wire I put in, which was just linking out 2 and 3 to give it continuous. What I didn't check when I came at Christmas was if we'd actually got power to this, because this was unresponsive. So I'm just going to show you now. Let's put power back on. That's on neutral and live, so it's got power, but it's dead. Okay, so that's the thermostat off the wall. There's my Wago back. So just got to connect them now into this. This new one. Right, so that's why I'm back in. I've got neutral, live, 2 and 3, which are my switching ones. So if I put that up, the boiler shouldn't come on, and we should have power to that. Yeah, that's good. So the boiler's not come on, and then if I manually put it on, the boiler should then fire up. So now the only pain I've got, because that was easy, is I've got a new Nest to fit. I took the old one off. I've got to go through all the Wi-Fi stuff, register it to the guy's phone, but he's not in at the minute, so I'm going to plug that in, and then if he has trouble when he gets home, I'll have to pop back and do that, but hopefully he'll be able to do that himself. So a lot of people on my Instagram have been having the same problem with the heat link failing, and I didn't know this, but I saw this on Ian Briggs' story, IRB Heating, that Nest will actually pay up to 30 quid, including VAT, for you supplying a temporary on-off switch or thermostat to get the customer heating back on, and 100 quid, including VAT, for the labour of uninstalling the faulty heat link. And then going back to fit the new heat link that Nest send, they'll pay you another 100 quid. Now, my customer, I asked him to contact Google Nest and say that his wasn't working, would they replace it? So he did all that, he got the new stuff sent out, and I checked with him last night and he's had the same email, so I can bill him now for my time. He pays me and then Nest will reimburse him. Right, you may or may not remember this job, but this is one that I fitted 3 or 4 years ago. That's in a rental property and they've never serviced it. I've never been back to service it. I don't know if anyone else has. And you can see here the tenant's got a peg underneath the filling loop, and that's because the boiler keeps losing pressure. The reason it's losing pressure is because the expansion vessel is either failed or there's a blockage in the hose, and it's losing pressure out the PRV. When the boiler comes on, it goes up to 3 bar. So what I'm going to do is we're going to check the expansion vessel. I've already been out and looked at the PRV, but that's, see, it's wet, it's dripping. Right, so I've removed the peg, I've isolated the flow and return, so the boiler's separate from the system, and I've drained the pressure to 0. Now, you might remember I did a job, slightly different boiler to this, but it was a backseat, where the hose here was blocked, and I was changing this vessel, and as I pulled it out, thinking that drained the boiler and it was all empty, it shot water across the room at my face, soaked the PCB. So I remember in the comments, and this is the great thing about YouTube, Instagram, anything like that, you are learning every day. And I learned from a guy just in the comments. He said, if you check your, and just to show you the actual filling point, Schrader valve is external of the boiler on top goes through, so they're dead easy to check these. He said if you attach your pump and get the reading of this and then pressurize your boiler to 3 bar, if your pump then goes up to read 3 bar, it shows you that you've not got a blockage. If you pressurize to 3 bar and your pump's still saying 1 bar, you've proved you've got a blockage there, and you can save yourself getting soaked. So just put my pump on, and without anything connected, it's reading 0.1 bar, so it needs calibrating back down to 0. And I think the way you do it is you hold that and you press 1, 2, 3, hold it, there we go, and that should be reset at 0. So I've attached my pump on, and you can see we've got 0 pressure inside this, so that's flat, which is what I suspected, but I just want to check I've not got a blockage. So what I'm going to do now is, if we can pop that up there somewhere, out the way. Right, I'm going to pump the pressure up. Right, 2.5 is my max. The reason 2.5 is my max and I can't go up to 3 is because obviously my incoming cold mains pressure is 2.5 bar. So I can't get any more than 2.5 bar because I've not physically got it at the mains. So that's the maximum I'm going to get, 2.5 bar. And my pump, which is still on the expansion vessel, is reading 2 bar. So what we've proved there is that this isn't blocked, because if it was blocked, that would still be showing 0, because the pressure we've just put in can't get past the blockage, if that makes sense. That was a great little tip that someone taught me, and I'm really appreciative. So what I'm going to do now is drain this again and just recharge this. So that's at 1 bar now. I'm going to leave that at 1 bar, see 10 minutes or so, see if that holds pressure. If it goes down, then it's going to prove that there's a fault with this. Yeah, hopefully you learned something like I did. This pump, by the way, one of the best things I ever bought, one of the best tools, use it all the time. Power tool, mate. Use PB5 to save yourself some money. But yeah, great bit of kit, one of my most used. And then just to show you, I'm leaving this set at just about 1.5 bar. And because we've not got the blockage here, with this still attached, it should read the same. So 1.55. I'm pretty certain I've showed this before, but if you've got kids, there's a pump there for like footballs and stuff. You can do your van tires if you get a flat in an emergency. Just do everything with them. Airbeds if you go camping, and it's quite a nice little size unit. Uses the M12 battery. Yeah. So I've been putting the updates of the job on Instagram all day, and these are the boots I was wearing. And because I was stood in the water most of the day, a lot of people said, were your feet dry? And I didn't even think about it. Yeah, they were bone dry. So the inside of the boot, just undo the zip a bit. It's got mud in it, so it's not going to be easy with one hand anyway. So there's the inside, bone dry. You can see that one better, really dry. My socks are there. They're both dry as well. So yeah, they performed well considering how long they were in the water for. And they're obviously the black ones, and I've also got the tan, which are my favourite boots. These are brand new, I got these at Christmas. The model, I think, I'm pretty sure it's called the Southern Cross Zip 661 Southern Cross Zip. They also do a pair with a lower ankle, so that big. I don't get on very well with them, they're just uncomfortable, but I do love these ones. So yeah, if you're in the market for a pair of boots, steel blue boots, my recommendation.
This is the cistern in the back. It's an inbuilt cistern, and ordinarily this here fits into the back there, and the panel then covers that. What's happening is this cistern button isn't working now with this. So that's the problem, unfortunately. So I don't know how much you need to see. That obviously, this feeds into the system itself down the back. This panel here removes so you can access the back of it a little bit more, but that's pretty much it really. Okay mate, cheers.
So that video I asked the customer to send me out because this was an emergency before Christmas. I managed to see from that video the word Cyan written on the push button, so I knew which one it was, the Optima 50. So my merchant stocks these, so I picked one up, headed out to the job, and it's a nice simple job. The customer's already turned the water off, so it's drained down. Siphon, as you know, twists out the cradle, so that's the siphon removed, and you can see there they are exactly the same. So with the Optima, you get all the bits you need to fit it. So you get the cradles for the different size outlets, donut washer, fixing kits, everything. But all I need is this siphon, and all I've got to do is basically twist it back into that existing cradle. So I've not got to do any other work on this. It's a nice easy job. This pushes through the gap. Once you've got it in the system, you've just got to locate those lugs, it twists in, and you'll know it's in because you can't pull it back out. So all the bits that I didn't need, like these fixing kits, the cradles, the donut washer, whatever I want to keep, and you've seen before I've got my toilet repair box where I have different fittings. This is how I stock that. So on a certain jobs where you buy a kit that's got the bits you don't need, but even this push button, they give you a new one, but there's nothing wrong with the old one, so I can keep that now on my van as a spare, because it was actually the mechanism broken, not the actual push button. So that's yeah, that's how I stock my toilet repair kit. Just swapping a fan on this Worcester, and yeah, I couldn't get the electrodes out. They was stuck in really bad, and sliced my finger open, which is standard for working on Worcesters, unfortunately. So this turned into a I fucked up story, and it was half me being busy and half me thinking that when I ordered something from the merchants they'll give me the thing I ordered. It's kind of like 50-50 my fault. It's probably more my fault, but back in the day when I was younger, I used to do this all the time because I would sort of doubt myself and I would check the spare was the right spare. But sometimes you get complacent, sometimes you're just too busy to bother checking, and that's what happened to me this week. So it was a job out in Colville and I needed a fan for a Worcester boiler. So my initial call out, the fast blow fuse had tripped. They had no heating or no hot water. So I took the fuse out, popped a new fuse in, ran it, and it popped again. So my initial thought was, because it's quite a common fault, it's the fan. So I unplugged the power cable from the fan, put a new fast blow fuse in, turned the power on, the power stayed on, and that was that. So kind of proved that the fan was at fault. So I ordered a new fan, Worcester Green Star, I think it was a 24RI, nothing special. Ordered the fan, went to Plumb Centre, picked it up, drove back to the job, opened the box, and it was a completely different fan. Now, normally I would check, but I just thought Worcester, it's easy, it's on the shelf, it's in stock, I've given them the actual part number. So I don't know what went wrong, but I rang them up and said, it's the wrong fan, have you got the right one? And I went back, so I had to drive all the way back to Loughborough from Colville. It was already like late in the afternoon anyway, it's almost Christmas, I think this was on the Tuesday before Christmas. So anyway, drove back. This time I opened the box. Yeah, it looked like it was the right fan. So I drove back and I fitted the fan. Then did all my checks, turned the power on, and the fan did come on, but it came on in like pulses. So it came on, then off, on, then off, and the boiler wouldn't fire up. So I was like, what's going on here? There must be something else wrong. So I rang Worcester Technical. Now Worcester Technical, I think, is one of the best technical helplines. They're really good knowledge, really patient with you. And it turns out it was the wrong fan, and I've never come across this before on a Worcester. I don't put that many fans on Worcesters, but according to the serial number, there's an old Green Star and a newer Green Star, and it's a different fan. So I'd got the wrong fan, my fault. Even though I had given them the GC number for the boiler, I don't know what, something had gone wrong anyway. It was just one of those jobs. So I got the actual part number from the Worcester guy, and I rang Plumb Centre and I said, look, I'm really sorry about this. It's the wrong fan again. Here is the part number from Worcester. This is what I need. And he's like, yep, I will order you that in for tomorrow morning. So I had to apologise to the customer, say, look, it's just whatever can go wrong has gone wrong. But the van will be in tomorrow morning. As soon as I've got it, I'll ring you and come over. So I went back the next day to Plumb Centre, and I don't know why, because I'd had 2 wrong and I'd ordered again with the part number. I thought I'd better check it, and I opened the box and it was completely the wrong fan again. It was some random fan. It didn't look anything like what I wanted, and I was like, I don't know what's going on, lads, but that's the wrong fan again. So he went back out in the back, brought out the right fan, and in the end the 4th fan I got for this boiler was the right one. Obviously went back, swapped it. So yeah, it took me 4 fans to fix this boiler, and in the end I got it going. I didn't film it because I was in such a rush. I filmed little bits of it, but basically I had a new fan, new gasket, new electrodes, service, and yeah, it's just one of them little jobs that could have took me half an hour and ended up taking me 2 visits. 2 visits to the merchants, 2 visits to the job, and just being an absolute pain in the arse. So this is the 3rd fan they gave me, even with the correct part number. This was the wrong fan. It's nothing like what I knew the board I was working on, so I don't know how it happened. And then this is the one on the left is the fan that I fitted that half worked but wasn't right, and this is the fan that is the right fan. I tell you, I was sick of fans by the time this job had finished. And it was one of those jobs where the boiler had been put in a kitchen cupboard and you had to take a lot of the cupboard apart just to work on it. But it ended well, and you get that great feeling at the end of a horrible job like this when you actually get it working. So yeah, it turned out right. Yeah.
Hi guys, hope you are all enjoying your day. I've got a little tale to tell you of what happened to me at work the other week. So it was a Saturday morning. I had been to do a gas service, did that, no problems. And then I was going back to a job, and I had to second fix a bathroom. I had to hang the towel rail, I had to hang a pipe of rad, refit a toilet, and just do the basin. And that was it. Nice easy afternoon on a Saturday, no dramas as you would think. So got all that done, that was fine, done and dusted. And then all I had to do, I was fitting one of these Aquabion water treatment valves on the incoming main, down in a little downstairs WC. So everything's finished, all upstairs, everything's done, tested. Dropped down to the stop tap, turned it off, and then it came up, bit of 15mm, we had an elbow, and then it teed up and down, feed the downstairs toilet and that to the rest of the house. So I get my pipe slice on, turned the water off, open the drain off, drained all the water out, happy days. So I'm cutting with my pipe slice, not really paying much attention because it's 15mm, incoming mains 25 poly and went up to 15mm. So I'm just cutting with my pipe slice aimlessly, like that. Reached over just to grab the valve. As I cut through it, bang, stop tap blew off. Absolute panic stations. Like in that situation, what do? I've got mains water flying out from the floor, it's hitting the ceiling. I've got the fuse board just to the right of me, that's been completely drenched. It's hit me in the face, it's knocked my glasses off. I'm scratching around on the floor, I can't see anything. I managed to get my glasses on there, dripping. I'll get my hand over it, like that, holding it down. It's still spraying me up in the face. I'm absolutely soaked. Of course, this time of year, incoming water main pressure is, well, it's through the roof. The temperature is like 7 degrees, so I'm absolutely dripping wet through. Luckily, on the job, I've got a carpenter with me. Well, it's his job, I'm doing the work for there. So I shout upstairs, like, Mike! And he comes down, mate, what's the matter? I'm like, oh, there's something to block in here. And at this point, I couldn't see what had happened. What had happened is they'd used a brass nut and olive onto the blue poly with a little stem that goes into the bottom of a 15mm equal stop tap. It sheared off the wrong side of the stop tap. At this point, I couldn't see. I'm just trying to put my hand over it. So he said, "Oh, can you get a 15mm compression cap end on it?" No, couldn't get that on it. So what we had to do, he had to cut his broom handle down. I had to get him to make it into a point, so I could push it down into the tiniest bit of brass that was sticking up, twist it and hold it down. But obviously it wouldn't stay in, so we had to hold it. So I sat there for about half an hour. Spoke to the lady. Do you know where your stop tap is? No. It's a farm, a couple of acres, big long drive. So this was about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock on a Saturday. On a Saturday, phone Welsh Water. Gonna be 3 hours to get someone out. She's like, she gets on the phone. She says, no, they have to be out now. I've got mains water hitting my ceiling, and Welsh Water say they're going to be 3 hours. So eventually, some chap comes out. I've stopped holding the stick into the mains. The carpenter's now doing it. He's been sat there for an hour now with this in. I'm outside now with the chap from Welsh Water, metal detectors, can't find it. Find 3 stop taps. Customer says she hasn't got a meter. All 3 stop taps we find are on a meter. So now it's getting later and later. Mike, the carpenter that's there with me, gets on his phone. He phones a bloke that he knows who's a ground worker. Ground worker turns up with a digger, mini digger. We're now going to dig the field up because we can't find the stop tap. Ground worker unloads his digger, starts digging. We've gone down 3 foot, 4 foot, where we think we're going to be, where it travels up this field. Can't find anything. So we've dug up half her field now. Next thing you know, a torch comes running down the field like this, bouncing on. The bloke from Welsh Water, I think I found it, I've turned it off. Mike takes his bit of timber out of it, and it slowly starts to go to a trickle. He's completely soaked, so his wife has to come and bring him a fresh set of clothes. Luckily, I had a 25mm stop tap in the van, and there was enough play on the poly. I could bring it up, put a new stop tap on, repipe it up, and get her up and running. We did say what we were going to do is, because we've dug up that field, it's probably best to have a stop tap a little bit closer to the house, a little bit low down in the field, rather than trying to find it up in some bushes up by the road. So the ground workers continue to excavate, find that, put a little chamber in with a stop tap down there. But yeah, I suppose moral of the story is, don't work weekends. Because yeah, it got itself into a bit of a pickle. It was I think it was about 9:30 by the time we left. Luckily, the customer's son who'd moved out had a few bits and bobs there, and it fitted me, so I had to borrow a pair of shorts, t-shirt, pants and socks. But yeah, I'll send some photos to Pete and he can pop these in as well. But just be careful when you're cutting into stop taps, and always find out where it is outside before you start working on it. Otherwise you'll end up like me.